This screen is the first thing you see when you launch the Premiere Pro software. The first thing you want to do is create a new project by clicking on the New Project button on the top left here. You can name your project at the top left. Next, you want to select the project location from this menu. This determines where the project files are saved. You can use this menu on the left to import your footage if you'd like, but you can do it later as well. For this tutorial, I'll import my footage later since that is my preference. Click on Create. This screen is your workspace. As you can see, there are different panels. Each of these panels have their own functions. This is the source monitor. Here, you can view raw clips and set start and end points for the clips before adding them into your sequence. This panel is the program monitor. It reflects what is happening in the sequence you are currently editing. This is the project panel, where you can import all your files including videos, images, music, and sound effects. You can also organize your imported files here. This panel is the timeline, where you assemble and edit your sequence. You can add video and audio clips, position them on the same or different tracks, change their properties, and add effects and transitions. Note that each sequence has its own timeline. Before I import my files, I'm going to create some folders to organize my source files. Staying organized can really help with having a smooth workflow throughout the editing process. In Premiere Pro, these folders are called bins. You can create these by right-clicking on the project panel and selecting New Bin. Go ahead and rename your bin. I'm going to create a few different bins to sort out my different files. Now, let's import our files. You can do this by opening up the folder that contains your files, and then drag and drop them into the respective bins. For example, I'm going to drag all my video clips and drop them in this drone shots bin. Go ahead and do the same for the other files. Now that you have all your files imported, let's get started on the editing. To start, we want to create a new sequence. A sequence is where you can edit your video. You can have multiple sequences in a single project. This can be helpful when editing longer-form videos. To create a sequence, right-click on the project panel, click on New Item, and select Sequence. You will then see this window where you can edit the sequence settings. There are many presets that you can already choose from, or you can go to Settings and set your own settings that you want to use. Once you're happy with the settings, you can rename the sequence here, and then click on OK. You can see, the sequence appears here in the project panel. The timeline has also appeared here as well. Next up, we want to start adding in clips into our timeline. There are two ways to do this. First, you can simply drag and drop the clip from the project panel into the timeline. Another way you can do this is by double-clicking on the clip in the project panel, which will make it appear in the source monitor panel. You can use this little blue playhead to quickly skim through the video, or you can also use the play button here. I only want to use a certain part of this clip in my timeline. To do this, I can go to the part where I want the clip to start and press I on my keyboard. Then I'll go to the part where I want the clip to end and hit O on my keyboard. This sets the in and out points for the clip. Now, I can simply drag and drop the clip from the source monitor into my timeline. It only imports the exact part that I wanted, based on the in and out points. The timeline is small, which can make editing a bit difficult. You can zoom in and out of the sequence by dragging the scroll bar down here, or by using your touchpad. You can also use the scroll bars at the side to make the tracks bigger, allowing you to see thumbnails of the clips and the audio waveforms. Here I've added all the clips I want to use in my video. I can now fine-tune it. If you want to cut or split a clip into 2 or more parts, you can use the razor tool from the toolbar here. Just select the tool, and then click on the part of the clip where you want to set a cut. Now, the clip has been split into 2. If there's a blank space in your timeline that you want to remove, simply drag the next clip and snap it to the clip before it. Alternatively, you can select the blank space and hit delete on your keyboard. If you put a clip above another one on the track above, Premiere shows you the top video. It works like layers. As a beginner, try to use a single track and get familiar with the software. Once you get better, try using multiple tracks to enhance your edits. A common example where this is used is when the editor inserts B-roll clips on top of an interview clip. If you are using multiple tracks and you want to hide the track above, you can select this visibility toggle to disable that particular track. Each track has its own visibility toggle. Next up, let's learn some other things that you can apply when editing. First, we'll learn to adjust the speed and duration of the clip. This can easily be done by right-clicking on a clip and selecting speed and duration. In this text box, you can adjust the percentage. The higher the number, the faster the clip. To slow down the clip, just use a lower percentage. You can even make the video play backwards by checking this reverse speed box. Next, let's try out the text tool. Select it from the toolbar, move your cursor to the program monitor and click. Now you can type in your desired text. Notice that a new layer is added in the timeline. Just like the other clips, you can also move it around where you like to determine when it appears in your video. Using the selection tool, you can then move around the text in the program monitor and adjust its scale. You can customize the text. To do that, you need to first open the Essential Graphics panel by going to the window menu on top and clicking on Essential Graphics. Here in the panel, you can see various controls that will allow you to adjust the text. You can set the font type, adjust the size and scale, the position, change the color, and so on. Play around with these settings and get your desired look. Next, let's learn about the Effects Control panel. You can find the panel above the source monitor, here. When you select a clip, you can see its properties here. From this panel, we can reposition the clip, scale the clip, rotate it, and more. Even text layers have these properties as well. Next, we'll learn about effects and transitions in Premiere Pro. You can find the effects library here in the project panel. Here, you can see there are various folders which contain different effects for video and audio. Let's say I'd like to add a transition between these two clips. I'll go ahead and expand the Video Transitions folder, and you can see there are different transitions already pre-installed for you. For my edit, I'm going to use a dissolve transition. You can add a transition by dragging and dropping it between two clips. To adjust the length of a transition, simply select and drag it on either end. It's the same process if you want to add an effect. Just open the Video Effects folder, select one, and drag and drop it onto a clip. As you can see, nothing has changed yet. This is because you need to adjust its settings in the Effects Control panel. Every effect you use appears here, and you can adjust its settings as you wish. In this case, I've used the Directional Blur effect, which you can see has appeared here. I can adjust its settings as I like. If I want to delete this effect from my clip, I can just select it here and hit delete on my keyboard. All the same applies for audio effects, which you can also find in the effects panel. Now, let's learn a little bit about editing audio in Premiere Pro. You can add audio such as music and sound effects by dragging it into your timeline, the same way you would add video clips. To further edit and process your audio, open the Essential Sound panel by going to Window and clicking on Essential Sound. This panel makes it easy for you to mix your audio. Simply select the type of audio you're editing, and there are a bunch of settings which you can play around with, such as reverb and panning, to get your desired sound. Now that you're done editing your video, the next thing you need to do is export it. To do that, what you first want to do is click on Export up here. Here you can see a lot of different settings, which may look intimidating. Don't worry, as a beginner, you don't need to use all of these settings. Firstly, make sure the range is set to the entire source. If you don't do this, Premiere might only export a certain portion of your video. Here, you can rename the video and choose the location of your export file. This next setting, called the preset, is important. It will determine the quality of your video. For this tutorial, let's go with YouTube 1080p Full HD. This is quite a versatile preset that you can use most times. As you learn more about the software and export settings, go ahead and try other options which might better suit your needs. Once everything is set, just click on Export, and Premiere Pro is going to export the clip into the folder that you've selected earlier. Just like that, you've learned the basics of Premiere Pro. Take your time and play around with the software. You'll learn it's a powerful tool that you can do many things with. Thanks for watching.